Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you all for coming and joining us here at Weinberg Place. Good morning to all residents, staff, family members, and distinguished guests. My name is Darcel Golson, and I am the community manager here at Weinberg Place. Welcome to our 11th annual Residents Appreciation Day and our 50th anniversary celebration. Our theme for this anniversary is a continuing journey of learning, growing, and living. I can truly say that this applies to me. You see, I started my journey. Let's walk with me today. 29 and a half years ago, when I accepted the position as the rental clerk at Lake in the Woods Apartments in Lansdowne, Maryland. On October the 28th, 1989, Edgewood Management became the agent for Lake in the Woods under the direction of Mr. Larry Davis. My journey continued at Madison Park North Apartments, where I began as the assistant manager and progressed to be the community manager. From there, I was transferred to Zion Towers Apartments in West Baltimore, my first senior community. Then on March the 16th, 2004, the call came to come to the property known as Weinberg Place to serve as the community manager. And 13 years later, I'm still here. When I reflect back over the past years as well as the current years, I feel that my greatest joy has been being placed in a position to provide affordable, sanitary housing for all people I have the opportunity to serve. It has truly been a joy of love. As we celebrate our Golden Jubilee, we recognize the strong and continued support of CHI, and the person who committed to the community inspires us, Mr. Mitch Posner. Mitch is the CEO of CONCORD. In this capacity, he serves executive level staffs and oversees all agency and programs, administration. Prior to coming to CONCORD, he served as executive director of GECO. Mitch came to CONCORD with extensive experience in nonprofit management and real estate development, sales and consulting. He has a long life involvement in volunteering community leadership that included his service on the CONCORD Board of Directors from 2006 to 2012. Would you all join me in welcoming Mr. Mitch Posner?
Let's give another round to Darcel. There is nothing that goes on in this building that is not a direct result of her special touch, and we could not be more proud and happy to have her such a long-term member of the staff and to make this place sing in the way that it does and as beautiful as it is. So thank you, Darcel. So I want to start by welcoming all of you. In particular, I'm going to mention that the elected officials or their representatives are here. There are going to be a number of people who I'm going to recognize throughout the program, and a couple that will specifically, we've talked to in advance that we've asked to say some words. So, and in the middle we'll have a video, so it's going to be hopefully an interesting interactive program that you'll enjoy. But let me start by extending a welcome on behalf of all the residents of Weinberg Place and all of us who work on this project together to Renee Cohn, representing Senator Ben Cardin, Kokua Owusu Achu, representing Senator Van Hollen, State Delegate Sandy Rosenberg from the 41st District, and his partner, Delegate Angela Gibson. We also have Shelley Zimmerman, the Chief of Staff for Councilman Yitzi Schleifer. And absolutely can't forget to welcome former Councilwoman Ricky Spector, who served us for so many years. So I'd like to start, it's Erev Shabbat. We're in the approach to the Jewish Sabbath. And I would like to begin with one of my favorite scriptural quotes, which I think best expresses why we as individuals and as a community do what we do specifically for older adults. It comes from Psalm 92, which was written as the song of the Sabbath day. And I'm going to quote the last few lines. A righteous person will flourish like a date palm. Like a cedar in Lebanon, they will grow tall. Planted in the house of the Lord, in the courtyards of our God, they will flourish. They will still be fruitful in their old age, vigorous and fresh they will be. To declare that the Lord is just, my rock in whom there is no wrong. Well, Weinberg Place is the epitome of a courtyard where we help older adults flourish in their old age and remain vigorous and fresh. And I think that we are here all to celebrate that accomplishment and what we do as a community to live that life mission. So the story begins, as I understand it, I was a bar mitzvah boy in 1967, but the Associated Jewish Community Federation of Baltimore, or its predecessor at that time, probably went under a different name, Mark, but Levendale and the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development came together to plant the seed for what we know today as Weinberg Place. As I said, over the years, thousands of palms and cedars have been nurtured by our elected representatives, government and foundation funders, support service providing partners, neighbors, volunteers, and staff. So today we've gathered to celebrate 50 years of exceptional affordable housing for seniors and to show our appreciation for all of those who've made this possible. I want to recognize Delegate Bilal Ali. Welcome. When the staff of Weinberg Place began planning for this event, they struggled to come up with a theme. The common factor among all the residents over the past 50 years is summed up in the word journey. Each resident has a story that reflects their own journey. We'll end our program today with a focus on the people who maintain the vigor and reap the fruits of this community. But I want to begin by focusing on the journey of the building itself. So as I go through this story, as I said, I'm going to call some people up just to stand to be recognized and others to come and speak, but you'll hear we'll see how this works. The building was first developed and is still owned by a corporation called CONCORD Apartments Incorporated. Board members of Levendale manned that board and actively oversaw the construction, and Levendale managed the building for many years. So I don't know, Ross Maltush, the administrator for Levendale, is here. Welcome. Thank you for letting us. And for those of you, few people who may recognize the names, Leroy Hoffberger, who passed away just last year, was the first president and signed the note that we found in the files. And Len Weinberg's father, Bob, was the attorney who prepared the application and oversaw the construction. After it was completed, the Associated created comprehensive housing for the aged, CHAI, but it was aged, not assistants as we know ourselves today, to oversee the CONCORD apartments and to plan and build additional housing. Only it never did that until Chai had a staff, which was when Ken Galula, where's Ken? In the back. Ken led a task force that ended up in the formation of Chai in 1983 and was a constant present for 28 years thereafter. So the Concord Apartments, Inc. board remained and was, and to this day, remains synonymous with one of the committees of the CHI Board of Directors. So if you're here, I saw a number of our board members of CHI. Would you please stand or raise your hands, and so we can thank the members of the CHI board. One of those board members I want to call out specifically, who was involved way back at the beginning, is Ben Dubin. Didn't I saw Ben, I thought? Ben in the background. So, but I believe the key player that had the vision and the idea and the financial wherewithal to actually become the partner with the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development was the Associated. And I'd like to call on my dear friend Linda Hurwitz to come and please speak and represent the Associated.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I also want to recognize our president of the Associated, who always finds time to be with us, Mark Terrell. Thank you for being here on this most beautiful day to celebrate this significant milestone. Looking outside, God is certainly smiling and shining down on us for the dignity, the compassion, and the physical home we have all provided. I can only imagine, as Mitch mentioned, the history and the stories that are shared throughout this facility, marking an important time in our Baltimore Jewish community's history. I'd like to quote Maya Angelou when she stated, "I've learned that people forget what you said. People forget what you do. But people will never forget how you make them feel."
All right.
This building represents our first venture into providing affordable housing for our seniors and make them feel good. The Associated continues its commitment to ensuring this beloved population that they will have a place to call home, a place with dignity and compassion, a place that provides the social interactions so critical to a thriving life. Thank you all on behalf of the Associated. We wish you a heartfelt mazel tov on your 50th anniversary, and we so look forward to all of us being here for many more years to come.
Amen.
As Mitch shared with you, our Shabbos is approaching in just a couple hours, but also our New Year, Rosh Hashanah, is approaching quite quickly. So please allow me to wish each one of you a very happy, healthy, peaceful, and prosperous New Year. L'Shana.
Thank you, Linda. And it's important that I reinforce a very important message I've told to my board of directors and the staff at CHI many times, that but for the support of the Associated, CHI would be a limited shadow of itself. Having, as Darcel mentioned, I had the privilege to run another nonprofit in town that didn't have such a foundation of support. And let me tell you, the Associated makes it possible for CHI to focus on the mission, not on, they take care of the foundational work, and it's very, very helpful and much appreciated. And we thank all the staff and anyone else from the board of the Associated that's here. So in 1967, the average income was $7,300. Monthly rent was $125 a month, and the average price of a new home was $14,000. I'm quoting now from the loan documents. To finance the construction of a housing project pursuant to Section 202 of the Housing Act of 1959, Concord Apartments Incorporated borrowed $2,980 in 1967. Today, the replacement value for insurance purposes of this building is $23,600,000. So we're proud to say that we believe Weinberg Place, and I may be wrong about this, so you'll excuse me, but was the first HUD 202 building in the city of Baltimore. But this is very important. But for the dollars from the budget of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, there would be no Weinberg Place. So I want to stop and thank the representatives of the elected officials who are here with us. And I'm going to start by asking Renee Cohn, the constituent liaison for Health and Senior Citizen Issues, representing Maryland U.S. Senator Ben Cardin. And also, if Pacoa would come up, just stand by. But Renee has a statement from the senator to share with us.
Good morning, everyone. So I've worked for Senator Cardin for almost 38 years. And I was here, I wasn't working with him at that time, but he began his time in public service in 1967, the year of the birth of this wonderful facility. He regrets that he could not be here today because he really does feel a kind of kinship to what has happened here. For the numbers of years that I have worked for the senator, one of the things that he has said more frequently than almost anything else is that a society is judged by, can you not hear me? Is that the society is judged by the way it treats its young people, its children, and its elderly. He has always felt that way. And from the beginning in 1967, when he was in the state legislature, he did all he could to help the funding that was needed and the legislation from the state government to make sure this happens. Just to give you, just quickly, a little bit about this man and how he feels about seniors. He then went on to be extremely proud of working with then State Senator Steinberg, a president of the Senate in Indianapolis, to develop the first senior center in Baltimore, which some of you maybe remember was on Reisterstown Road. Any of you remember he used to stop there on Fridays to play pinochle with Ricky Spector and some of the other people there. And then he went on in the Congress to be very proud of legislation to expand Medicare so that under the Medicare system, seniors could get paid for benefits that took care of preventive health care measures that had not existed before. And then he went on to, in the Congress, to also work very strongly with HUD funding for senior buildings. So he's not here today. I have a letter from him, but he wanted me to extend particularly to the Associated and to Chai that he's there now. He, as your senior senator, he is there to help you whenever you need services, especially for the seniors in this community. I'd like to read a letter directly from him. If he were here, he would probably do it with a flourish, but I'll do the best I can. Dear friends, I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone attending the 50th anniversary Jubilee celebration of the Weinberg Place, hosted with the Associated and the Comprehensive Housing Assistance Chai. For decades, Weinberg Place has stood as a jewel in Northwest Baltimore and is one of the nation's first housing communities designed to help residents age in place. Weinberg Place has provided shelter, much needed access to services provided by the Associated, and a greater quality of life for Jewish seniors. From my time in the Maryland State Legislature, I have championed the need for resources and services that enable seniors like all of you to live independently in your community for as long as possible. As a senator, deeply concerned about how we as a society treat our elderly, I'm thrilled that the original concept of Weinberg Place has spread, growing from the Northwest Park Heights corridor to the expansive Owings Mills Senior Housing Campus. The standard of excellence, first exhibited here, has also been replicated in developments across the country. So I, Senator Cardin, joined Chai and the Associated to work tirelessly to serve the needs of the Jewish community and celebrating this impressive legacy of Weinberg Place. Since its founding, generations of seniors have not only thrived, but have been able to enjoy greater peace of mind in an important time in your lives. Congratulations on reaching this milestone, and hopefully Senator Cardin will have an opportunity to come by personally and say hello.
Thank you, that was beautiful. We will cherish that letter. Thank you very much. Next I'd like to ask Bob Iver, a good professional friend and colleague, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Multifamily Housing at HUD headquarters in Washington, a friend from Baltimore for many, many years. And Bob, welcome.
Thank you and good morning. Greetings from HUD. As Mitch had mentioned, this property was funded originally with Section 202 funds. It was the ninth building funded by 202 throughout the country. Back in, the funds came in probably a little before 1967, so we provided the original construction funds and a rental subsidy, which continues to this day, and will continue beyond that, thanks to the good and hard work of Senator Cardin and Senator Van Hollen and the Maryland delegation to keep those very precious federal dollars coming to properties like at HUD, we used to call it the CONCORD, now the Weinberg Place, and other federally assisted properties throughout Baltimore, Maryland, and the country. There's no longer a 202 program that folks in their infinite wisdom decided we would not be funding anymore, so we do need to keep these Section 8 dollars flowing to properties. Thinking that I'm between you and lunch, let me just congratulate the Weinberg Foundation, who was a big part of the recapitalizing the building about 13 or 15 years ago, State of Maryland, Edgewood Management for their continued great work at this property and many other properties in the Baltimore area. And of course, finally, you, the residents. Congratulations to you for 50 years. Looking forward to another 50 years here at Weinberg Place. And again, thank you very much.
Don't get too excited. There's a few more things before lunch. And starting with, together with the storyboards around the room, you'll be reminded of many faces, events, and activities and the role of our supportive services and staff have played in enhancing the lives of thousands of people who've lived in this building over the last 50 years. So we're going to take a break in the speakers and show you a short video that's going to take you way back to the 1960s and then up to the present.
I guess apartments do need facelifts after 35 years, and we want the CONCORD to be up to speed with the rest of the wonderful Weinberg Places.
I'm still dreaming of what the recreation room will look like. I see it on a blueprint. It's hard to imagine. I can't wait to the day when it's just there.
Now if you feel that you can't go on because all of your hope is gone and your life is filled with much confusion until happiness is just an illusion and your world around is crumbling down. Darling, come on girl, reach on out. I saw her yesterday. It's you she's thinking of. And she told me what to say. She said she loved you, and you know that can be bad. Yes, she loves you, and you know you.
1964, 65.
In a young girl's heart, how the music can free her whenever it starts, and it's magic. If the music is groovy, it makes you feel happy like an old-time movie. I'll tell you about the magic and it'll free your soul, but it's like trying to tell a story
In the bathrooms, all of the bathtubs are being replaced with showers. Showers are just safer than bathtubs.
I hope you enjoyed that. The first time I saw it, it brought a huge smile to my face. So I particularly like the Beatles. So as you saw, though, in the video, the building kind of took on a second life, was brought back to life with the help of a variety of government funding sources, but also, first and foremost, the largest single gift to that renovation came from the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation, hence the change in the name of the building from Concord Apartments to Weinberg Place. With us today is Rafi Rohn, who's a program director for Israel and Jewish General Community Support, a friend from the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation. I'd like to ask Rafi to come up and say a few things.
Good morning for another few minutes. Good morning.
Good morning.
As was mentioned, my name is Rafi Rohn. I'm a program director at the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation, and we are so thrilled on behalf of the trustees and the president and CEO, Rachel Garbo-Monroe, to be invited to be included in this exciting event. Thank you. I'm very thrilled to be here celebrating with you. I actually did not know exactly what to expect, and this is so fun, especially the video and seeing the individual stories. What it's really about here today is about the celebration of thousands of older adults being able to be afforded and provided with affordable, independent housing over the last several decades, which is phenomenal to think about. I want to thank very especially Mitch Posner, Lisa Budlow, and Olive Chai, not just for your tireless efforts, but for your passion, your commitment, and your excellence in enabling older adults to not just age independently in our community, but to be contributing leaders in making our community better through their ability to live. So thank you. One of the foundation's top priorities nationally remains continuing to invest in affordable, independent, and integrated housing for seniors with services that are fully integrated throughout. In Baltimore, CHI is a leader of doing just that. CHI's excellence enables not just you, but our community and with support from the Associated and other partners to be part of a thriving community. I think of today, while, as was mentioned before, we're heading into our new year and our Rosh Hashanah, things that we're thankful for is not just the ability to live in the buildings, live in the area that we live in today, knowing that we have brothers and sisters in other communities, Florida and in Texas, we're not nearly as fortunate as we are. So we keep them in mind today while we get to celebrate things that now people, many millions of people, are actually lacking. So, CHI continues to build their home and community-based service models in order to best serve residents and enable you all and all of our families and loved ones to age independently here. The foundation recently awarded a 2-year, $380,000 grant to CHI to continue to develop its strategic plan for its Aging in Place program, and we are really excited to see what comes next. I think it's going to be terrific. We need to do that, not just here, but throughout the country. Baltimore reflects the rest of our country in that we're an aging population. And in order to meet tomorrow's needs, we need to plan for it today. So I want to thank you, thank CHI for your leadership and your partnership. And we appreciate everything that you've done, and we appreciate what's here. Let's celebrate, and I want to wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom and a Shana Tova and a happy and healthy New Year. Thanks very much.
It's really important that everyone here recognize there are, in my experience, there are the funders who are willing to seriously assist with programs and capital costs related to older adults are very few and far between. The Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation is at the top of the list by far and away, and we please extend our thanks to Rachel and the other trustees and the staff of the foundation for all of their support for all of what we do, and so many others who serve older adults in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. Thank you, Rob. So I want to turn back to the government support because, again, we talked about the federal aid, but then there's also the state of Maryland, and I'm also going to get to the city of Baltimore. But I want to start with the fact that the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development is the contract administrator today for the HUD subsidy contract, and we have funding also from the Maryland Department of Aging for the congregate housing support program that we run here at the building to help people age in place in the building. Delegate Sandy Rosenberg was an early member of the board of the CONCORD Apartments and continues to this day to be a great supporter and a friend of CHI, the Associated, and Weinberg Place. If the other members of the delegation want to just stand along with Sandy, but Sandy's going to speak on behalf of the entire 41st District delegation. Welcome again to Delegate Bilal Ali and Angela.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to present certificates recognizing this very important 50th anniversary occasion, official citations from both the 41st District delegation and from our colleague and friend Dana Stein from the district just north of us. It's not often that you have an occasion where you have an Associated Jewish Charities video that has the Four Tops, the Beatles, and the Loving Spoonful. Okay? And I know that because in 1967, I was a senior at City College. And we had an environment, that was part of the environment. But Darcel, you couldn't go to City College. Not in 1967, you can now. But you and I do share something in common. Your first job was with Edgewood Management. My first job was with the Housing Management Division of the Housing Authority of Baltimore City, running the Section 8 program, working for Bob Embry and Van Branch. So my involvement, our involvement in housing is not something new. I was honored to be asked. I'm pretty sure that was the first board of the Associated that I was asked to be on. And it was a great honor to work for CHI, for what was then Concord House, as well as to get the great neighborhood programming that CHI is so highly regarded for now, started in the Park Heights community. We are celebrating a 50th anniversary today because the people at the Associated, at HUD, state and local government had foresight. It's not by accident that we were that we were number 9 in the country and number 1 in this region, because we all work together. We work with Ricky Spector and so on, the whole gamut. But people had foresight and said, our population is going to age. We want these folks to have a great life, to be living in a great environment that takes care of all of your needs. And we're here today, and we're thankful because of those people who 50 years ago from the Associated, the whole community, government, worked together as we continue to work together on behalf of each and every one of you. Thank you.
So in the order of government entities, and now the City of Baltimore. So when the building was renovated in 2002, there was a long list of funders. The Weinberg Foundation made the single largest gift. There was a variety of other federal funds, but this Baltimore City Department of Housing and Community Development made a $750,000 loan to finance the rehabilitation work. And simultaneously, we secured a subsidy contract from the Housing Authority of Baltimore City for 88 of the 236 units, 88 of the 236 units here in the building. I just want to recognize at least RSVPing that they were going to come today from, okay, great, is Norman Young, the Administrator for Program Operations. Kevin Youngfellow, Manager for Site-Based Units.
And Corliss Austin is also here from the Housing Authority of Baltimore City.
And is Lisa Adjison here as well? No? Well, anyhow, but thank you all for your continued support and all the work that you do in concert with Darcel and her staff and our high asset management staff as well. Representing the elected officials, we have with us Shelley Zimmerman, the Chief of Staff from Councilman Yitzi Schleifer's staff. We'd like to ask Shelley to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. Good. Actually, I think it's afternoon now. I'll be very short and sweet. The councilman was very upset that he couldn't come, but he did have a prior engagement that he couldn't miss. But I was very happy to take his place because I have a very personal connection to this building, as my grandmother lived here for years. She worked in the little store here and served on many committees, so she was always very busy and involved, and it kept her feeling very confident in growing older. So very quickly, I'd just like to present you with, on behalf of Baltimore City, we'd like to wish a mazel tov to the Weinberg Place on 50 years of serving our community seniors. Thank you for helping our seniors to feel at home and part of a community, as well as giving their families peace of mind.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Shelley, and please send our regards to the councilman. So at this point, I want to go to one other level of thank yous, and that is to specifically cite 2 members of the high staff who are top professionals, certainly in the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, and maybe Bob would agree, in the United States of America, for developing and managing affordable housing. And that is Ellen Jarrett, who's at the back of the room. Vice President of Housing Planning and Development. She just celebrated her 25th anniversary with HI, so 25 more years, we'll have a party like this. She has been involved in the development or renovation of all 17. This is one of 17 buildings that Hyde owns and manages, all developed by Ellen. So thank you very much, Ellen. And is Roy here? It would be typical for him not to be, but Roy Kiwi, but actually he's got a very good excuse. His daughter gave birth to a baby boy 2 days ago, so I'm sure he's with his family. Mazel tov to Roy and his family. But Roy is our Vice President for Asset Management. He joined Hyde 13 years ago in 2004 and has made an immense difference in how we can own and manage these properties so efficiently and effectively to provide the service and the underlying layer of support services that we offer in the buildings. And he made maybe a single most important decision in 2004 when he organized a request for proposals for a management firm to take over to be our partner in managing these properties. He had the wisdom to, with the board of Hyde, to select Edgewood Management Company. And we are honored today to have the chairman of the board and good friend and colleague, Eugene Ford Jr. From Mid-City Financial and Edgewood Management Corporation to come and address us today.
Good afternoon. We have had the great pleasure and are extremely grateful to have been in partnership now with Hyde for 13 or 14 years, 2003 I believe, and started managing here in 2004. We came in with Roy, and please extend our congratulations and mazel tov to him. We also came in with Ken Galula and Ellen, have been through numerous acquisitions, have been involved in numerous acquisitions and construction and rehab with them over the years. We were involved, I believe, in the one of the last 202s in Weinberg Renaissance Gardens not too long ago. We went from 10 properties, I believe, 1,000 units to 17 properties and 1,558 units today, which is quite an achievement for Hyde and staff. One of the things that I'm taken by personally when I visit the properties up here is the web of support and collaboration and just busyness that everybody seems to have at these properties. Everybody's doing something, and that's such a good thing to see as somebody who operates properties. They're getting their money's worth. They're involved in the community. That's just a wonderful thing as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's been a pleasure to serve you all and serve Hyde. Our thanks for that partnership. A couple of years ago, we officially became business partners, and we operate a joint venture together. And we are so pleased to have a partner who has a mission that's very similar to ours, and it's really about improving people's lives in any way that we can do that. So, to life. Thank you very much.
All right, we're blocked from Pimlico, so I'm going to say we're in the final stretch. But now we're going to close the program by celebrating the people who breathe life into these bricks and mortar, the staff, the volunteers, and the residents of Weinberg Place. So each of them have their own story. They come from all walks of life, but I want to first and foremost ask one of the residents of the building to address us, Ms. Shirley Rowder. Rowder, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've come with a story to tell. My mother always called me backwards, my whole life. She said, "You're backwards." And I never understood it until I became an older adult. I was in a nursing home for approximately 4 years. While I was there, I lost one of my legs, and 2 years later, I lost the other limb, and I was right across the street at Lavendale. Got very ill. They sent me to the hospital. Came back. And they came to me and said, you have to leave. Where am I going? They said, you've been in the hospital, you missed your bedtime. You know, I didn't stay in the bed long enough as far as days. So you have to leave. I went to another nursing home. I had decided I would stay there. That's my life. And somebody came along and said, oh, we have a program. If you would want to leave, we can help you leave. All of a sudden, that spark came back. Leave? How can I leave? They introduced me to the program. The program helped me every step of the way to get applications, to fill out housing requests. Finally, Miss Golson called me and said, we have an apartment. You do? And myself and another resident came here and looked at the apartment, very satisfied. The agency helped me as far as paying rent and security. They helped me in getting furniture that I needed. They helped me in getting someone to assist me to live on my own. I didn't know such things existed. I was very sick when I moved in here a little over 6 years ago. Very ill. The first night I moved in, I went to the ER. And I was petrified, because they're going to send me back to the nursing home. But they didn't, and they couldn't. And I progressively got better. My neighbors check on me. They call me, are you okay? Well, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm doing a lot of things. I just feel as a community, this community is great. People look out for one another. I think that the services that are provided in this building are unparalleled. I don't know of other buildings, but we have a service coordinator. We have a property manager. We have social workers. We have a little community store that is going to reopen. We have the Fork and Spoon. We have movies. We have card games, chess, art, and so many, bingo, that's right, don't forget bingo. Okay, but there are so many things that go on in this building. I'm backwards because I left the nursing home and came here. And I'm not leaving here to go to a nursing home. I'm here to stay. Okay? So, we take this opportunity to thank staff, to thank our visitors, to thank our residents, to thank everyone, because each one teach one, and each one bring one. Bring the love that you have, that we all have for one another, to one another. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Crowder, very, very much for sharing those beautiful words. You're an inspiration to all of us. And maybe we should have just had this be the sole part of the program. But we have a few more things. But thank you very much, and I hope you win at bingo. So I'm going to ask now some of the Edgewood staff, Darcel, David Jefferson, the regional manager. Where's Carolyn Peoples? So Carolyn, please come up, and Tiffany, why don't you join us also? But I want to stop for a second and just tell you that Carolyn Peoples may be one of my favorite people in the world. I have the pleasure to know Carolyn from before I started at High, and she just brings a smile and a positive attitude and a can-do attitude to her work that is unlike anyone, and she really spearheaded this program today, so I want to just acknowledge that for all her good work. But we have some awards, and We're going to start with, we have 3 residents who've lived at Weinberg Place more than 20 years. When I call your name, please come forward to receive your Resident 2 Decades Award. Ada Newby, 24 years. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Also, Susie Harrison for 25 years. And Joan Milik, who's been here 27 years. Joan didn't come down, so we'll give her the award in absentia. Now we'd like to give some awards to long-term staff members. Connie Johnson, who's been here 18 years. Well, all 3 of them survived the renovation. Tony Marzocchi, is Tony here? Tony helped me make the renovation happen. And Ernestine Tates, 27 years. You must have been a baby when you started working. Now we want to recognize the National Council of Jewish Women for their many, many years. I think it's 40 years of service. Is Amy Slutkin here? She's not here, okay. Well, Shelley, your grandmother served, so please take the word back to everyone who helped serve from the National Council of Jewish Women, and we have an award for them. And finally, we have, coincidentally, if you will, 3 members of the Weinberg Place staff who have or will turn 50 years old simultaneously with the building this year, the building that they love and serve. Sylvester Washington, Beatrice Cook, and Darcel herself. Congratulations on all of you. So old. You must have been mistaken.
We thank you so hard,
Anybody want to say anything or ready to close up? Okay. So, in closing, I want to share one last fact about Weinberg Place, which dramatically, in my mind, illustrates the impact of our collective efforts to maintain and expand the stock of affordable housing. I could tell many stories and many facts and figures, but this one really strikes me. Approximately 25 of the current residents in this building were homeless and temporarily staying with family members and friends at the Weinberg Resource Center, at Health Care for the Homeless, until they received permanent housing here at Weinberg Place. Today, when they arrive, these residents are welcomed by a resident-initiated program, just initiated, called Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which provides food, clothing, and furniture to their new neighbors. I believe that community environments like Weinberg Place foster that collective energy so that everyone in this room is enabled to live out the wisdom of, I want to end with a quote from the great Jewish Talmudic sage Hillel, and I think this again encapsulates that spirit. It's quoted in a book called Pirkei Avot, The Ethics of Our Fathers, and it says the following: if I am not for myself, who is for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? So, the when is an imperative to all of us in our environment today to remember the importance of all of the collective resources and energies that we've celebrated in this program. But now you actually can celebrate by spending some time in the room looking at the storyboards that Carolyn and the staff put together to illustrate the many years of the life of this building. And please join us for a kosher lunch reception under the tents at the front of the building so we can celebrate this 50th Golden Jubilee anniversary. May the upcoming Jewish New Year bring each of us and the Weinberg Place a continuing journey of learning, growing, and living. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.
Hi, what an honor to be here. Thank you.